Hello and welcome, racing fans, to Motorsports Radio, home of Motorsports Talk on channel MR5, and this is Motorsports Radio's weekend edition. In today's program, Chase standings, we're going to take a look at that. We got racing news, of course, and the racing schedule, as we always do, our normal Thursday night ritual, or we do our the weekend edition on Thursdays. On-demand listening available anytime at motorsportsradio.net, home of Motorsports Talk. And let's take a quick look at the driver standing. Of course, last week was race number 1 of the round of 8, and for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and of course the winner, Jimmy Johnson, man, with a nice win. And Jimmy Johnson climbs up to first place in the Chase standings, the round of 8. We have Denny Hamlin in second, Matt Kenseth in third. Now we have Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth both with 4,039 points. Kyle Busch in fourth place. Fifth place is Joe Logano. Kevin Harvick in sixth place. Kurt Busch in seventh. And then we have Carl Edwards in eighth. Jumpers and divers in the Sprint Cup Series. Well, we have Jimmy Johnson that climbed from second up to first. But we have Denny Hamlin that climbed from sixth all the way up to second. Matt Kenseth from fourth up to third. Kyle Busch climbs from eighth place up to fourth. Now, some divers from this week. We have Joe Logano dropped from first down to fifth. Don't forget, Joe Logano won that race at Talladega. Then we have Kevin Harvick, which dropped from third down to sixth, and Carl Edwards, which dropped from fifth all the way down to eighth. Now, taking a look at the round of 8 for the Xfinity Series, which I do admit we've been repeating this because they haven't raced in a couple of weeks, but they'll be racing this weekend. So the list will change. But first place, Elliott Sadler. Second place, Daniel Suarez, both with 3,039 points. Blake Cook in third place. Fourth place is Justin Allgaier. Eric Jones in fifth place. And we have both with 3,027 points. Ryan Reed in sixth place. Brendan Gowen in seventh place. And in eighth place, it's Darrell Wallace Jr. Now, taking a look at the Camping World Truck Series here, of course, they had their race one of their round of 6. They actually have race number 2 coming up on Friday. But Johnny Sauter, first place, he climbed all the way up from 6th all the way up to first. Christopher Bell in second place. Timothy Peters in third place. William Byron fourth. Matt Crafton in fifth place. And Ben Kennedy in sixth. One big climber and a bunch of divers. We have William Byron that dropped from first all the way down to fourth. Crafton from fourth down to fifth. And then Ben Kennedy from fifth down to sixth. We have Formula One right now. Top 10. Formula One has this upcoming weekend off. They return next weekend for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And then the weekend after that, I believe it's Abu Dhabi for their last race of the season, which I believe is on the 28th or something. But this weekend, no Formula One racing, just NASCAR this weekend. Nico Rosberg in first place. Second place is Lewis Hamilton. Daniel Ricciardo, he's in third place right now. Sebastian Vettel in fourth place. Kimi Räikkönen in fifth place. Sixth place is Max Verstappen. And Sergio Perez in seventh place. Valtteri Bottas in eighth place. Nico Hulkenberg in ninth place. And in 10th place, it's Fernando Alonso. Alright, so we have some racing news here. We also have penalty update and, of course, the schedule. And I gotta say, thank you for tuning in, because MR5 has a ton. Like, we got a whole bunch of listeners this week. I keep track of how many listeners we get. I don't pay attention to numbers too much, but we are getting a lot of listeners on MR5, so I'd say thank you for that. So, entitlement sponsor. The big news here is that the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series will be renamed for 2017. Sprint will no longer be the series sponsor. NASCAR is still talking with a number of suitors, according to Adam Stern, who is with Sports Business Journal and Sports Business Daily. Adam Stern took to Twitter, tweeting some quotes from NASCAR Chief Operating Officer Brent Doerr. It's actually, the Sprint is the entitlement sponsor, as they call it. That is the technical name. And according to Brent Doerr, quote, they're at a quote, advanced stage. So they're at advanced stage, but yet no word of who is going to be, or who they're talking to. So it might be a bunch of parties involved. And I guess for whatever reason, they can't say anything about it at the moment. So we'll have to keep our eyes open on that. But I'm going to say call it the Motorsports Radio Series presented by motorsportsradio.net. There you go. There was a story on NBC, but so we had this big yellow on Sunday, right? Everyone knows about the 29-lap caution. NASCAR Vice President of Competition Scott Miller, who was on NASCAR Radio's Morning Drive on Sirius XM, and he says, quote, we acknowledge that we need to do a better job in those circumstances. Now, Steve O'Donnell, NASCAR Vice President and Chief Racing Development Officer, tweeted after Sunday's race that he said, quote, if we knew, he pretty much said that they knew that the time, that there was so much, that so much time it was going to take so much time that they would have actually gone to a red flag. And then Scott Miller says, now, we didn't think it would take as long as it did. There's a point in there where a red flag may have been appropriate. They had some crazy stuff going on Sunday. So the breakdown event was, first it was green flag pit stops, right? So everyone's coming under green, but then all of a sudden the caution comes out, and it's happened before. Now the caution came out, which I believe was lap 355, 356, I think. Actually, no. I think it was 358, because it was 355, I believe, when they started cycle green flag pit stops. And we actually broke down Sunday's race over on MR1. We have on Motorsports Radio Breakdown. We'll break down all the Sprint Cup Series races. So the caution comes out after the beginning. So green flag pit stops, they start cycling, and then we got a caution. That was because Carl Edwards, the number 19, who spins and he goes into the outside wall. So some drivers have already pitted under green, and now the yellow's out, so that you get other drivers coming in under yellow. Usually under green flag pit stops, drivers wind up going at least one lap down. But then to mix it up, you had A.J. Allmendinger's 47 car who ran out of fuel, and he had to come into pit road, and he came in, pit road was closed. Now you had Jimmy Johnson, right? Jimmy Johnson, his 48 car also ran out of fuel, but he hit the switch to go into the reserve tank, and he actually stayed out there long enough for them to open up pit road. So, and in fact, they were actually discussing whether just to come in and take the penalty, but he stayed out there, actually went all the way around on reserve fuel and came back in after they opened up pit road. So there was that issue with the 48. There was a couple other cars. The 13, Casey Mears, ran out of fuel as well. So there's actually 3 cars that ran out of fuel at that moment. Then NASCAR had to determine who got the free pass beneficiary, right? Because under yellow, the field gets frozen, right? So I guess it could get kind of complicated. So then after that, then of course they had to determine the wave around eligibles. All right, so the wave around eligibles are usually the cars that are just one lap down. So the leaders come into pit under yellow, and NASCAR does. If you was watching NBC, they had that little demonstration on there, and so NASCAR. So the leaders come into pit. So now you got all the lappers, and NASCAR doesn't want the lappers behind the pace car on the restart, so they let them go ahead, wave around eligibles. So they go past the pace car, get time for the leaders to get back into their spot, and then the lappers get up one lap, so they're actually back in the lead lap. So that's how they call it the wave around eligibles. Provided that they do not pit. Of course, that's different from the free pass beneficiary, which is the lucky dog. That's the first guy. That's the first guy in the lap traffic, and the guy in front of him wrecks, so he gets the free pass. But that's different from the wave around eligible. So it gets a little confusing there. So it was kind of crazy, but they got it straightened out. Scott Miller says that it was such a unique situation that we almost had to look at each car to make sure we were doing right by each car, each and every car out on the field. So there you go there. Now, it does get confusing because if the field's frozen, how do you lose your spot? Well, you lose your spot, race off pit road, right? Where green flag racing, you kind of, if you come in on the green, you lose your spot because the other cars are crossing the finish line and you're still in the pit road, so that puts your lap down and all that crazy stuff. So it was a long yellow, but, I guess they had to do what they had to do. So, needless to say, it was a really long race on Sunday. It usually is when you get some short track racing. A 500 lapper, which was 3 hours and plus minutes. So there you go. So now there's some beef between Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson. So you might want to look at that. That's the little incident there. Denny Hamlin saying, well, basically, Denny Hamlin was complaining that Jimmy Johnson was racing him hard. Jimmy Johnson got in front and won the race. And then Kyle Busch came out and said that Kyle Busch even said that the JGR Toyotas let Jimmy Johnson win, if you can believe that. So basically there's a little bit of turmoil between the JGR and drivers and Jimmy Johnson. Basically it's Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, but they got a little beef going on right there. But I don't think it's going to turn out into anything crazy. I was reading this thing on the lawn yesterday where they're saying that there has been no drama in this chase so far, which we haven't seen anything, right? Usually, there's, people, you get some post-race, plus some post-race scuffles and stuff of that nature. But, nothing super crazy has happened so far. So far, smooth sailing, but, if you like a little excitement in there, so far, we haven't gotten anything too crazy, as of yet. Now, of course, my favorite moment was Tony Stewart backing into Brett Keselowski's car back in 2014. Was that? Yeah, 2014. The Charlotte night race where Tony Stewart backed his car and took Brett Keselowski's car. And of course, last year you had the little drama between Matt Kenseth and Joe Logano. So Ray Evernham, everybody knows Ray Evernham, champion NASCAR crew chief, restores a 58 Impala from the movie American Graffiti, fully restored, and was unveiled at SEMA. SEMA, of course, the Specialty Equipment Market Association. They got that big event down in Las Vegas on the first week of November down there, out there I should say. Evernham purchased the 58 Impala in 2015 and spent a year restoring the car to its movie condition. Some other news that came out: Roush Fenway Racing signs a multi-year deal. Advocare will continue to be an anchor partner for the number 6 car driver Trevor Bayne for the next 3 seasons. Advocare was a sponsor of Roush Fenway's Racing and Trevor Bayne since 2014 in the Xfinity Series. Also, what else we got here? Sunday at Texas. Here you go. The number 6 will be sporting a paint scheme honoring the Seal Legacy Foundation. The Seal Legacy Foundation is an organization that helps families of wounded and fallen U.S. Navy SEALs. So keep a lookout for the number 6. Driver of the number 1, Chip Ganassi Racing Chevrolet. Driver Jamie McMurray also getting a new primary sponsor for 2017. Gear Wrench is going to be their sponsor. Jay McMurray, a Daytona 500 winner, also Trevor Bayne. Alright, so now we got some penalty updates, and really it's just Sprint Cup drivers, and it's only 3 penalties, warnings that were passed out this weekend. Nope, just warnings. The 11, the 6, and the 93 teams. The 11 JGR team failed pre-qualifying template inspection 2 times. The 11 team now has a total of 3 warnings, the 11 driven by Denny Hamlin. The number 6 Roush Fenway team receiving warning for failing pre-race template inspection 2 times at Trevor Main, and also the 93 team, BK Racing, the 93 team failed pre-qualifying laser inspection 3 times. The 93 car driven by